Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're talking about the Chicago Bulls letting their trade player exception expire and what is going to be the outrage from the Bulls community. Can't wait to hear. Then we'll also get into the Bulls officially signing the contracts, Dalen Terry and Justin Lewis and Justin Freeman Liberty, the two-way deals. What does that mean for Malcolm Hill, who got a two-way qualifying offer earlier in the offseason? And lastly, we'll be talking about Zach LaVine officially signing the largest contract in Chicago Bulls history. All that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen. Locked On Bulls is a member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat, the designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central, where I cover the Bulls every day. But moving into the topics for today, Pat, the Bulls have let the trade player exception, the $5 million trade player exception, expire. That could have allowed them to take on a salary up to $5 million into that space without needing to send out any additional players. They would have had to send out some assets to actually make the trade work, though. What do you make of the Bulls not using this trade player exception?
They didn't find a trade that they liked for Kobe White. I think that's really what it was, right? Which is interesting for a lot of Bulls fans. It was interesting to me, right? Because I thought that Kobe White's value going up. I thought the move for Kobe White was kind of like, let's see if we could find another young player in there. I, I guess they said that there's more value in Kobe White than we're seeing. Because I think that's the one player that they were actively shopping, right? They were shopping, they were looking around at Vooch to try and gauge interest, but there weren't really a ton of players that the Bulls were like, yeah, we're moving this guy out. They were actively shopping the 18, they were actively shopping Kobe White. They didn't hear what they wanted to hear back. And probably, right, even if they do make that trade, you're probably not getting back a player that's going to be worth that level of where you're going to need that $5 million extra. So
Well, you're looking at it as if it had to be paired with Kobe White. I'm looking at the trade player exception as an asset that could be used independently. So a lot of ways that teams use it. We saw it used earlier this offseason. I think Detroit, when they took in a player, can't remember who it was, into their caps, into their space, a trade player. Oh no, it was actually Portland. They actually got Jeremy Grant on a $20 million trade player exception that they had there. But the Bulls could have used that to get another player in, to maybe get more draft capital, to maybe take something like that. It didn't necessarily have to be trading or packaging it with Kobe White or the 18th pick. That's why I'm more surprised, because that trade player exception, once it expires, it expires.
Yeah.
And you could use that to maybe get another asset to use down the road while taking on a player that maybe a team is just trying to unload or whatever else. But we know the Bulls are trying to avoid their luxury tax. They're only $1.7 million under the tax, meaning that even if they did absorb somebody into that, if their salary was less than 1.7, what are you really getting back as far as trade assets for taking that contract? Not much. So,
and even if you take the full thing in, right, like, is it worth it to go into the tax for that level of player unless you feel like it's some young up and coming star that everybody in the league's missed? So I'm not surprised that the Bulls let it expire. I think that there's a reason for AK doing kind of what he's, and Acme doing what they're doing, right? Like, you want to pay for players that are going to make the team better. And then I'm even looking at that, right? Like, say we do make a move for a guy. Where's that guy going to find minutes on this team now? Like, once you went out and got Drummond, like, unless you go out and find a 4, right? And I think that AK seems like he's really rolling the dice with these young guys. Like, we'll get into with some of the two-way contracts, right? Like, there's going to be multiple young guys on this team that are going to be going between the G League and the NBA that are going to be a part of this roster in some way, shape, or form, and maybe just need a little more refinement before they get on that full NBA schedule.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we'll see, and we'll talk about what this means for the younger players and who they're betting on. But this adds an offseason in which a lot of Bulls fans, not really me and you, I mean, I think we kind of both understand, but a lot of Bulls fans unhappy with the Bulls offseason, unhappy that they didn't make some of the bigger swings or maybe take on more salary, things like this. Where it sits now, Bulls only used a very small portion of the mid-level exception, did not use the trade player exception. That was really their two biggest assets to improve through free agency this season. But let me ask you this, Pat. The Bulls seem like a team primed to make a big trade deadline move if that's what it ends up being, don't they? Doesn't it have that feel when you look at the size of the contracts that they brought in, the fact that a lot of the contracts now could easily be thrown in another deal? They have a $22 million expiring contract in Vooch if he doesn't, do something that shows that they want to keep him here. But I'd be AK would be remiss if he's not looking at the market for Vooch just to see how it develops leading into that trade deadline.
Yeah.
What do you think there? Do you feel like the Bulls, if a move presents itself, they're going to be primed to make one?
Depends on how the team's playing, right? Like, listen, if Patrick Williams takes this jump that they expect him to take, like we've heard from KC Johnson and a couple of other Bulls beat writers, that there's an expectation for Patrick Williams to take a massive jump this season. Like, he's already averaging 9 and 4.8, 9 and 5 ish, something like that, right? Like, what's massive? We talking about like a 22 and 8 player? Like, if Patrick Williams makes that kind of jump right now, you're looking at it and saying, well, we got Andre Drummond back there on the back end. He's 28. He can start a little bit. Maybe we can move Vooch and get back another asset that's able to come in here and we start this whole big man thing all over again. You know what I'm saying? So I could see the Bulls making a move at the deadline, but I think it all depends on listen, I think the Bulls didn't make a move at the deadline last season because no one was healthy, right? Like,
And
if
it
you make
didn't
a
make
move,
sense. It didn't
if you
make
make a
sense to
move
make a
on
deal.
Kobe White, you got no guards left. So I which is surprising to say, or you have no guards that have any talent left, I should say. So I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's gonna come down to how the Bulls are playing, how healthy the Bulls are, if they're gonna make a move at the deadline. But if Patrick Williams does take a leap, like a lot of them are expecting them to, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls are like, all right, now Patrick is our third scoring option. Let's go out here and see if we can find us a defensive big man.
Yeah, I mean that's really what the Bulls. If Pat does make a leap to where he's in the 16, 18, not saying that it may mean Vooch is more tradable. It have to be some other scenarios too. But you then look at it and say, hey, how much scoring and passing do we really need from our five if we're getting scoring and passing from our four and Patrick Williams?
Yeah.
So that I mean that we'll see how that develops. But I do think, like I said, I'm not saying that the Bulls are for sure going to make a trade deadline move. I'm just saying they've put themselves in a nice position. They have almost $30 million in expiring contracts with Vooch and Kobe alone. So even if a team is kind of looking to get off a semi-star or anything like that, and they just want to go full rebuild, those are two expiring contracts you don't necessarily have to do anything with if you choose to. So
I really love how the Bulls have kind of set themselves up, right? Like, you think about it, it feels like we have no money going into next year, and we have quite a bit of money going into next year if we really want it. Like, you have enough money to go out, like, to kind of put it in perspective, right? Like, if the whole DeAndre Ayton thing happened next season, and you really wanted to go after DeAndre Ayton, you could just let Kobe and Vooch expire and go after DeAndre Ayton. Like,
not
there's going to
really.
be
It won't translate to true cap space. Keep in mind we're over. So
true, right?
yeah.
But I'm just saying, right? Like, there's a part of it that, like, AK's kind of setting this thing up where with creative financing and all that, like, you can still go out there and get you a nice player next season if you're like, Vooch is kind of done.
I mean, it would be more so because right now, looking at the Bulls, it'd be 2023-24 season. They would be over the cap slightly, but they'll be $41 million under the luxury tax if they let everything expire that they have coming up expiring next season. So that's not true cap. Like, they won't have 20 million to sign a free agent. That may make them more likely to use their full mid-level exception because at that point they're not flirting with the luxury tax. So it's going to be the Bulls aren't in as bad play. Like, some people think that once we signed Zach LaVine to a max contract, we're never going to have any flexibility, and it's like, oh no. AK thought about that. You can tell by the way these deals all expire that AK has thought about that every step of the way.
And there's still, like, now you're talking about going into the luxury tax for a player that makes you a champion. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it's just interesting to see, like, how like, one, how Bulls fans freaked out because, like, we're being cheap again. It's like, $100 million deals. I mean, let's but no, I'm just excited. I like to see kind of like the mindset and the setup for the longer play as
once you
well as
realize
the
it,
right
when you
now.
actually start looking at things financially and you start seeing, okay, this is why they did this. This is
Yeah,
why they did this. It all
yeah,
makes sense. They were even looking forward in the Wendell Carter trade. They that trade was calculated. Yes, they gave up an extra draft pick that I think they shouldn't have given up. But when you look at that, they basically got Vooch on a 2.5 season rental, knowing, hey, we're probably going to extend Zach. That's gonna be the next time we have significant cap room after Vooch drops, and then Demar's after that. Like, so listen, it's not as dire as some people will have it seem, even though the
it's
Bulls
not.
didn't make some of the moves that we wanted them to make this offseason. That's all I can say.
You know what would have made it more dire? Signing Mo Bamba.
Well, yeah, because then we would have been hard capped and in the luxury tax. But
Then Bulls fans would have been, why did we sign Mo Bamba?
exactly. It's forgetting that they all wanted us to sign Mo Bamba. But that's just Bulls fans. Love Bulls Nation, man. Next up, we're going to get into some of the other smaller contracts with the rookies that the Chicago Bulls just signed recently. But first, got to talk to you guys about Truebill. Do you know why free trials renew without your consent? It's a business scam out to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download Truebill to take control of your subscriptions. Truebill is a new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with Truebill because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel. Truebill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts and Truebill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions in one tap. And your Truebill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions so you don't have to. Truebill has over 2 million users and have helped them save over a combined $100 million. Like Matthew B., who says, in a matter of seconds, I saved $660 for the year on my direct TV bill, saved $120 for the year on my Sirius XM bill. Whoa, who still got that? Saved $840 a year on car insurance. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/lockedonnba. Go right now. That's truebill.com/NBA. It could save you thousands a year. All right. So, Pat, we got a couple updates. Dalen Terry has officially signed his rookie scale contract. The Bulls officially signed Justin Lewis and Justin Freeman Liberty to two-way deals. Now, one of the things that we talked about in our pregame, it makes this interesting. You can only have two-way players on your team per NBA team. The Bulls signed Malcolm Hill as well to a two-way qualifying offer. So if he does end up accepting that, that's 3 players on two-way deals. One would have to be cut before the beginning of the season. But a lot of this is all going to take place in shape in Summer League, which is coming right up. But first, Pat, what do you think about the deals?
I like that they got him. I like that Justin Lewis is on one, right? So he can kind of show what he's doing. And I like that AK is actually using him because there's something to be said to like not only just practicing, but also being able to get into a game. I really like that he's kind of utilizing that, and hopefully, right, we'll see how it works out with Marco this year. But we saw that Marco kind of used it to build his confidence up last season. He seems pretty confident coming into this year, right? And we'll see today how confident he really is as we get to take a look at him in summer league. But the thing to focus in on there is that it's going to be a developing tool that AK is using on a consistent basis. And so I'm glad that he's using these two-way deals, right? Unfortunately, somebody's going to have to get cut, but getting guys in here under so that they can kind of showcase what they can do and showcase where they belong, right? I think it's good for him, right? Malcolm Hill showed a little bit in the NBA and showed that he definitely can play at this level, but can he play at this level at a high level is the question mark there. So it's probably why he's playing in a summer league. He's probably coming out here looking to dominate day one. So it's going to be interesting to see that as well, man. But I think Malcolm Hill probably ends up getting the short end of the stick on this one because he's 29 and Javon Freeman Liberty is 22.
He'll be 23 by the start of the season.
Yeah. So I think Malcolm Hill takes a little bit of an L here, unfortunately, but it also depends on what these guys show us today.
This is true. That's true. Javon Freeman Liberty will be. Is he now going to be replacing the Devin Dotson role on the Windy City Bulls? Because
I thought Dotson's still signed though.
Listen, I think Dotson's gone, bro. You gotta go check. You may be right. I think Dotson's gone, man.
I thought they signed him, or I thought they cut him and then re-signed him to the Windy City Bulls like a straight up deal. Let me check here.
But while you're doing that, so Javon Freeman Liberty, the fact that he's on the summer league team, uh, it's surprising because when you have a player that in college basketball average over 20 points per game, 7 rebounds per game as a point guard, it's like, hey man, how did you not get drafted? I don't know, but like I like the fact that he's on this team. I do think that Malcolm Hill is going to get the short end of the stick there. And I think the Bulls are gonna what we're seeing AK do is he really is making that G League team to see what kind of talent they can mine and develop down there. And I like that. I like can't wait to see Javon. I think that the three of these players are going to build a heck of a chemistry. We're going to be talking about Javon Freeman Liberty, Justin Lewis, and Dalen Terry on fast breaks in the summer league, and it's going to be beautiful. That's all I can say to
Now, what? And I don't see anything on.
that.
They got no news on Dotson when you look them up. The one thing that I will say that's interesting, right? And I was kind of quick to just say, oh no, he's gonna play for the Washington Wizards in summer league. Okay, so he is gone.
See? Yeah, he's gone.
The one thing that I was gonna say that I will say about it, right? Like it also depends on how these guys play. It also depends on what the Chicago Bulls are looking to have at that kind of bring up, bring down kind of player, right? Do you want that to be the young guy? Or it seems like the Bulls are kind of prone to protecting some of their guys from that first year of like NBA, like we don't want you to get your soul crushed when you come in here and you're not able to play at this level and then you can't play in the NBA anymore, which is a very interesting take for basketball, right? That's a baseball move. That's what you see people do in the minor leagues when they're like, no, leave him down there because we don't want him to come up here and get crushed by big league hitting or big league pitching, and then his mind is broken for the rest of his career. But it's interesting to see like if the Bulls want to keep a Malcolm Hill on the two-way and maybe one of the other two end up getting cut, but then re-signed straight up to the Windy City Bulls on a straight contract on that. I think that's going to be the interesting part there. I don't think it's Justin Lewis because Justin Lewis was like the highest.
Oh, he's gonna be on the two. He's not.
Yeah, he's the highest wanted. He was the highest. How do you say that? Highest coveted undrafted rookie, I think, and the Bulls end up getting him, which is awesome. And then so you're probably talking about between Javon Freeman Liberty and Malcolm Hill. There might be a situation where the Bulls know, right? Like Javon Freeman Liberty's from here. He wants to play here. He wants to be in Chicago. We can cut him and just sign him straight up, let him develop a little bit in the G League this season, bring him back into the league next year.
I don't know. I think I see that more from Malcolm Hill because like who did you hear talk about Malcolm Hill before the Bulls got Malcolm Hill? Who have you heard about talk about him after? I think the Bulls can cut Malcolm Hill and sign him to a Wendy's if that's even the thing, right? They may just cut him and let him go.
Well, my thing, true, but my thing with it is right, like, and that's all this could be. This could just be, hey, we want to showcase you for a couple of games so that you can get on with another team. But I think I'm looking at it in the sense of right, like Malcolm Hill already understands the system. He already understands what's happening. He's played for Billy Donovan. He's now played on the team. He's played with these guys. There's a little bit of a chemistry built up, if not any chemistry built up. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that there might be a situation where they're like, okay, if we end up when you're using the two-way players, you're probably talking about using them in a sense of somebody's going down. We got to bring somebody up to fill that roster spot. Maybe you want that veteran there instead of the rookie. But I mean, he's only a 29-year-old second-year player. So
yeah,
shout out to you for living out your dream, brother. That's all I'm gonna say.
Shout out. So with summer league starting tonight, just some quick predictions before we end this segment on summer league, man. What's going to be Dalen Terry's stat line his first summer league game, bro?
5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks.
Oh damn! So he's completely filling the stat
sheet. He's Draymond Green in that John.
Okay. I'm gonna go 8 points, 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, and a highlight ass dunk coming from Javon.
You got him rising up on somebody.
Yeah,
dude,
I got it. He's gonna get a dunk. He's gonna get a dunk.
I'm gonna tell you this. I got Justin Lewis. I don't know how much Justin Lewis is gonna put up, but I definitely think he's gonna rise up on somebody.
Hey, listen, man. I watched so much tape on him, man. Hey, I think it's underrated how a good quality spin move. That man has a good quality spin
Oh,
move.
dog, he's got
Like,
the one dribble spin and have
and
you
he
going
does
the wrong direction
the pre
quick.
pivot to the
Yeah,
misdirection before he goes into it. I'm like, hey man, listen here. I don't know how well that's gonna work with quicker players in the NBA level, but hey man, I like the
it'll
fact
work
that
in
you got
summer
that in your
league.
repertoire. Yeah, oh, it's gonna work in summer league. We're gonna see it a couple of times in summer league. That's for sure. That's for sure. Shout out
Oh,
to Justin Lewis, man, for getting for making it to the NBA, man, on the two-way contract. And literally, there are so many people excited about him. You would think that he was a late first round pick, bro.
bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, right? Like, that's how I feel about him. Like, I'm kind of more because I know what Dalen Terry's gonna be for the most part, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, I think he's gonna be that dude that, like I said, the Draymond Green role, 5-5-5, 2-2, 1-1-1. You be like, oh snap, like this dude's crazy, and we gonna love him.
Yeah.
But Justin Lewis is one of them where it's like, that floor might be low, but that ceiling might be real high.
See, I look at it the opposite way. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but I think he has a high floor. Listen, Justin Lewis and the way he works, that man's gonna make an NBA roster. And hopefully, he's for the Chicago Bulls, but he's gonna be on the NBA roster.
Watch us we're just gushing over this dude and watch he don't even make the team.
Get cut before the start of the season, and you know they're gonna be in the comments. Pat and Haize, y'all remember when y'all said da 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 da? Yeah, yeah.
Hey, the worst part for Haize is if Justin Lewis gets cut and Kofi Coburn makes a team.
Listen, that's the worst case scenario for me personally, bro. It may be over. I may have to retire from the podcast. They're gonna be on my head. On my head. Kofi Coburn is not an NBA player. But go ahead, keep him.
Hey
Keep him
man,
going,
he's gonna make a team, man. Don't disrespect Kofi. Hey, before we get into this final segment, man, we want to let you guys know about betonline.net. It's your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest major sports development, league reviews, and league news, including Major League Baseball this season. Ton of things going on in the MLB, man. My White Sox ain't really doing it, man. They won the other day, though. That's all I got. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And betonline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today to use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline. It's where the game starts.
All right, Pat. Now we're gonna finish the show off. Zach LaVine has officially put pen to paper, signing the. Go ahead, vibe out real quick. Go ahead, vibe out. But signing the largest contract in Chicago Bulls history, brother. It's crazy, man. It's shout out to Zach for working himself into being a max player. Shout out for him for getting the deal that he deserved. Option a 5-year option on that deal in the last year. But bro, man, what do you think? Like Zach signing this contract, like officially, all questions being eliminated, everything like that. What does this say for you that now we have to expect from Zach LaVine going forward in his career with the Chicago Bulls?
Exactly what we've seen with more winning.
Okay.
If we get a 27-5-5 player, that's worth $215 million. If we get a player that's going to play through injury, who's going to fight through injury, who's going to become more of a leader, who's going to try and continue to do everything he can to put the Chicago Bulls on his back, that's worth $215 million. I don't think there's a question about that. I understand his numbers were down last season, but the injury, I think, took a toll on him. I think we're going to see a resurgence from Zach. And I think we're going to see Zach kind of take the mantle. The one thing I will say is that $215 million, right? You've got to assert yourself as the number one. I think he didn't do that more so last season because of injury. I think coming into another year where DeMar is going to be a little bit older, listen, if he comes out and he's breaking Wilt records again, shout out to him, brother. We're not going to be mad at it. But I think you're going to see more of what we saw in the beginning of the season, right? Where, remember, early on, Zach and DeMar were both averaging like 28 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see a little bit more of that. I think you're going to see Zach LaVine kind of coming to understand what it's like to lead a team and be the number one option on a team. And I think you're going to see this Bulls team take a real step under him and under his leadership and guidance into the next level, right? And I feel like we like, man, dude, like we got a 3-year window. There's so many fans that talk about this 3-4 year window, and I'm like, there's so many dudes on this team that we kind of are counting on that are like 20, 24. Zach is 27.
Yeah.
There's so
It's a
much
lot of people
time with this
who talk about that window and just say our window short, and then that they don't realize like what Lonzo's still super young, Zach's super young. We got Io, who we think is going to develop into something special. Patrick Williams still out there. Like, this team is a really young team. That window isn't just because they try to make our window the amount of time DeMar is going to be here. That's not our window. That's our only window. AK and Eversley've done a terrible job, and that's not our window.
You think about it, right? By the time Zach's contract ends, he's still younger than DeMar is right now.
This is true.
And that means that hopefully you've won at least one championship in that time span, and that you can re-up a Zach LaVine on a deal that you still feel comfortable about, right? Like,
Yeah,
you can,
for sure.
like, I think that's the difference where you think about it, right? Like, if this all works out and we have to re-up Zach LaVine, we can re-up Zach LaVine on a 4-year deal at 31 years old and feel perfectly good about it and be like, at the end of this, he might be a little old, but right now, this is worth it.
Yeah.
Like, those are the kind of moves you like to see.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that we'll now have Zach locked up through his whole prime, his physical prime, at least his typical prime in the NBA, says a lot of how you can build this team now, with at least knowing you have that chip there. Patrick Williams is going to be here. We know that this front office is holding on to Patrick Williams, and we'll see what Io DeSumo turns into. But with Zach and Lonzo, when Lonzo's healthy, your backcourt's done. Like, you don't have to worry about your starting backcourt at all. We dang near don't have to worry about our backup backcourt either, with Io, Caruso being there. And then even if Caruso doesn't re-sign at the end of this contract, hopefully by that point in time, we know we got something in Dalen Terry.
Yeah. And
the Bulls are in a good position. And I know that there's a lot of Bulls fans who, question whether Zach was worth the money or whatever. At this point, it's all over and done. I'm not entertaining any more conversations on, is Zach LaVine a max player? Because guess what? He signed a max contract. He's now officially a max player, regardless of what anybody thinks.
And I mean, listen, like, you think about it, right? Like, I feel like the only part that kind of gets me is when we don't. It seems like we don't show love to the players of that ilk when they hit that level where you've actually got to pay them money, right?
Yeah.
Zach LaVine fought for us, went out there with one bad knee, messed up thumb, messed up back, and continued to play on the court, continued to fight for us. And the narrative became that he was doing that because it was a contract year and he wanted to get his money. He's doing that because he's always done that. Zach has always played through injuries. Zach has always been a dude. But when he was
the player who played 18 minutes after tearing their ACL, come on.
Yeah. Man. But when he was doing it on the $80 million deal, it was like, oh, that's our guy.
Yeah.
Now he's doing it on the $215 million deal, and we kind of want to turn it. I love what Zach said. Chicago's my home. I've really started making my name here, and I want to continue what I started here as a help. I'm extremely excited and appreciate the fans. I'm ready to continue the winning process that we have going. That's what you want to hear from your star. That's what you want to hear from your star. Now, is he a superstar? Win a championship, at least an MVP. MVP season for Zach.
He said at least an MVP. That's
for me. For me, you gotta have something on the mantle to say you're a superstar, bro. Like, numbers don't do it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel
Zach LaVine don't average that much.
We need Zach to be actually be 50, 40, 90 this season. That's with solid defense.
Would be crazy. That would be crazy. I think, you know what? I think we could see what we saw from him. What was he last year? It was like 48.
It was almost 30, it was basically 50, 40,
48, 39, 85, something like that, right?
Something like that.
Where I'm fine with you giving me that. I want to see the defense improve. Yeah. I want to see Zach LaVine, because we've seen flashes where he absolutely can get after you defensively.
It was a game, wasn't it? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a game against Bradley Beal, right? Where he act like in the last 2 minutes, he turned up the D on Bradley Beal. It was like, come on, man.
Yeah. So it's in there. So I want to see that, right? I want to see Zach LaVine becoming a more of a two-way player. I'm willing to deal with a little bit lower numbers if on the other end you're also giving me a steal and a half a game, close to a block a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, you got this leaping ability. You might as well go up there and get some shots out of here. Come on now, brother. We ain't had a dynamic shooting guard like this in the NBA since, I don't know, Keith Bogans? I don't know.
Zach LaVine last year, 47 on the field goal percentage, 38.9 on the 3-point percentage, and 85.3 on the free throw percentage. Yeah, listen, Zach LaVine is poised for a 50-40-90 season. It's coming.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now.
With solid
MVP
defense,
season.
right? With
more
solid
solid
defense.
defense. Yeah,
I'll say
more
this. If Zach LaVine could do what he was, and people always forget, like right before the thumb, Zach LaVine was averaging almost 29 points per game on close to 50-40-90 in high efficiency. I need to see that from a whole season from LaVine with some solid defensive games. I'm not saying he's going to get an MVP, but he can get he can get a couple of votes in there.
I say this, right? It's Chicago. If he puts up those numbers and the Bulls are winning, he's in the conversation. Yeah, I mean,
keep in mind, a lot of MVP stuff is
36.
storylines as well. The storyline of Zach LaVine signing the largest contract in Bulls history, having a big type season, and the Bulls are winning. That's enough storyline to push you up.
I mean, you think about DeMar was in there, averaging 33?
Yeah, basically.
I could see Zach averaging 33. I wouldn't be surprised by it. I think the thing is, right, like the Bulls fans have kind of forgotten, Chicago carries a lot of weight. Like, you're not gonna see a ton of we've had what have our last 4 MVPs been from small market teams just because of pure domination.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Zach LaVine's gonna be in the conversation just like DeMar DeRozan was. Doesn't mean he's gonna win it, but just being from Chicago, if he can play at that level again, he'll be in the conversation.
I'm not willing to go Zach LaVine MVP quite yet. I would love to see it, but like I said, I'm starting pre-starting my Ayo Dosunmu 6 man of the year.
It's not bad.
That's just before the season even starts. That's
as long as he's playing 6 man, that's perfect.
Because he may end up being our starting point guard. So we'll see what happens with that. But man, that is it. You got anything left, Pat?
Nah, man, that's it for me, man. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Also follows both on everything at Locked On Bulls. Appreciate y'all for showing love, man.
And you can follow me personally at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, I need you guys to go and check out Locked On NBA. We're the Locked On experts, catch you up on all the news, rumors, and latest developments around the NBA in 30 minutes every day. Locked On NBA can be found wherever you get your podcast at. If you listen to us on the platform, guess what? You can listen to Locked On NBA, so go and check them out. But that is it from us for today. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. This is Locked On Bulls. We see you lovely and beautiful people Monday. Peace, y'all.
Y'all stay safe out there, man.